So this is a piece I wrote that is somewhere in between a short story and a solo performance. And I'll only read you part of it. It's called Knit. One, the lists. I had something I wanted to. It's here somewhere. Sorry. It's this specific list that I thought would. Anyway, it's here somewhere. Okay. Sorry. It's just this list I made. Number 1. Keep making these lists. They are order and structure. Number 2, remember to leave a tip. Number 3, call Roy. Number 4, remember what Penny said. Number 5, find a different way to enjoy dance. I keep making these lists. They're everywhere. In my wallet, my bag, my pockets, my refrigerator has lists in it. They're simple enough anyway. I mean, they're lists. How complicated could they be? It's order, structure. Keeps everything in perspective. The lists are simple enough anyway, but the system is complicated. I have post-it notes, scraps of paper, napkins, pages from books. There is something satisfying about ripping out a page of a book because you feel that what you have to write is more important than page 54 of Charles Bukowski's collection of poetry, Love is a Dog from Hell. It's a good page, too. It's a fine poem, as far as that's concerned. But at the time, I found I needed to make this list more than I needed to read that particular poem. And now I'm too embarrassed to read you that particular list. It isn't a good list as far as that's concerned, but it was good at the time. It was necessary, I guess. Number 4 on a list made from Roy's wedding invitation and thick black marker read, find a way to enjoy dance. So that's what I tried to do. It isn't that I dislike dance. It's more as if I don't have an opinion. I like the human body, hip bones, hands, lips. I like things that move, hip bones, tires, robots, lips. But I can't say that I have ever had an opinion on dance as an art form. I mean, I can dance. I dance sometimes, but not professionally. Not as an art form. To accomplish number 4 on this particular list, I went to see a dance piece. A piece of dance. It was the whole thing, actually. I went to see the whole thing, and that's what I saw. But I was only really interested in one particular piece. The list I wrote while I was watching the dance piece, the whole thing, was as follows. Number 1, find out what perfume that woman is wearing. Number 2, quit your job. Number 3, find out who covered that Lou Reed song in the second piece. Number 4, look into dance classes, parentheses, maybe understanding the work will bring appreciation, end parentheses. Number 5, figure out why that woman is keeping her left hand behind her back the entire time. Number 6, learn Polish. So I did. Not learn Polish, or quit my job, but some of those things. I mean, I did quit my job, but it was later, and it was after a list that I made on a regular 8.5 by 11 piece of white computer paper, and I used this pen. Not that the pen is my special pen or anything. It isn't like I carry this pen around to make lists, it just happens to be the same pen. But what I did figure out is why that woman kept her left hand behind her back the entire time, who it was that covered the Lou Reed song, and what perfume that woman was wearing. It is called Smile, a popular perfume from what I hear. It was the same perfume my second girlfriend wore, back when I used to have girlfriends. That's the perfume she wore. Wore perfume. That sounds weird. It is the perfume she used. I was the boyfriend she used. I don't mean that in a bad way. Just used. Not used up. just used. I had a purpose to her and she to me. That's how we work, people. And we all use each other for different reasons. 2, night shifts. I've lost a lot of lists, but I've saved as many. This list is the oldest list I still have. It is written on the front page of the Star Tribune. I hate newspaper names because they all sound like you made them up, like you were trying to think of a good name for a newspaper and Star Tribune is what you came up with. But it's really the name of a newspaper, a real newspaper that I didn't make up. I don't know when this list was made because the part with the date is gone, but under the list I can see a headline that reads, Sharon wins election. So what, early 2000s? That doesn't give us a very exact time. But the list is very clear. Number 1, find out his name. His is underlined. Number 2, quit your job. But not before finding out what his name is. His is underlined again. Number 3, stop losing these lists. I quit that job too, but not before finding out what his name is. I also obviously still have the list. That doesn't happen very often. Me finishing everything on the list. But a lot of these lists have impossible things written on them. Like a list might say, number 1, go to space. Number 2, don't ever cry again. Number 3, finish this goddamn list. And while I may go to space someday, I don't think I will ever stop crying. It was Jonathan Gray, his name. Not John, Jonathan. I wanted to know his name because he reminded me of the woman that kept her left hand behind her back the entire time she was dancing. And it wasn't that he looked like her, well, sort of. They shared a few features, similar lips, thin, like a straight line, very serious-looking lips. But as serious as straight lips look, they also look like a cartoon, like Charlie Brown, but like a very serious, do not fuck with me, Charlie Brown. But it couldn't have been the lips because Jonathan was before the woman with the hand things. So I don't know, maybe that's why I wanted to meet the woman. We worked together at one of the jobs I quit, Jonathan and I. It was a terrible job. It was a night job. We worked for this giant supercenter grocery store. It was huge. And I don't know why I worked there because I hate those places. I don't like going into them and I won't now. But it was a job that I needed. And some of you, I'm sure, are looking at me like I'm some transient or something. I'm not. I've quit a lot of jobs because I don't really like working. I'm educated, mostly. I went to college. I'm not an Einstein or whatever, but I'm never the smartest person in the room, but I'm pretty smart. Believe it or not, I got a degree in sociology. Pretty worthless degree. But still, everyone my age was told that if we went to college, we could get any job we wanted. And that's just not true, because everyone my age went to college. Now you have to go to grad school to get a good job. I guess I could be a social worker or something, but I'm not even sure I know what that is. I guess if it came down to it, I'd rather go back and work at a supercenter grocery store than go to grad school. I wouldn't have met Jonathan at grad school. We both stocked shelves at the supercenter grocery store. But if you've ever been in a place like that, really early in the morning, there are 100 guys packing and unpacking boxes. We didn't all know each other. Jonathan and I worked different shifts that overlapped. So when he asked me for a ride home, I was a little, I don't know. Because to give him a ride home, I had to wait for a couple hours. Fuck, it's 4 in the morning. What else am I going to do? And I guess I waited because of those lips. They looked just like hers. Thin, cartoonish. And to finish the list that happened to be in my pocket the day he asked me, I had to find out his name. I couldn't quit my job until I found out what his name was. It was Jonathan Gray. I told you that, though. I became Jonathan's ride, and he became my... Well, every morning when I drove him home, this went on for a few weeks, he would tell me about himself. He loved to talk about himself, more than me. I guess I just heard so much about him that I started to insert myself in his stories, which is odd, I know. And it isn't like he had an interesting life or an amazing ability to tell stories. It wasn't like I became him or his young wife. I was just with them. I could tell he left a lot of stuff out, and I think that's what made it what made it easy for me to include myself in these stories. There were no details to exclude me. Every morning I would ask him what he was going to do that day. It was always the same. I would hear Jonathan tell me about his young wife and how she would just be waking up when he got home. He'd get into bed with her, and they would watch one of those terrible morning shows like Good Morning to Your Puffy, Sleepy, Stupid Face or whatever. And I would listen, and it would be Jonathan, his wife, and me, lying in bed under a pinkish comforter watching this crappy morning show. Just the three of us. Then his young wife would get up and take a shower. She sang a lot, he told me, in the shower. It used to bother Jonathan and I because we were tired and had worked all night. But we got used to her slightly off-key singing, and we started to like it. And then we would fall asleep. Jonathan used me for a ride. My imagination used him to believe in a better morning. Jonathan quit after a few weeks of this. I don't think it was because of me. I mean, I don't think he knew that I was sleeping with him every morning while his wife sang. He just quit because some people quit shitty jobs. But I felt betrayed. I was now alone in my mind as well as in my bed. I tried watching the bad morning show by myself in my own apartment, but it wasn't the same. I couldn't even pretend they were there. A week after he quit, I wrote this list. Number 1, quit your job. Number 2, change oil in car. Number 3, get up. Your life is more important than sleeping. That was all in capitals. Number 4, sleep in tomorrow though, parentheses, the last time, end parentheses. Thank you.